just a few days ago, I was at the Ford Kentucky truck plant and I saw how Ford's quality was improving. And I want to share that with you. Now, they're not all the way there yet, but they made some really great strides. And I've gone to other plants and I give you some more details on what's going on there at that plant. Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Today's Friday. This is part of a truck news recap show I put on every Friday. I'll talk about this topic and some other things happened this week and give you some more behind the scenes, what's going on with the channel, the business, life, all this kind of stuff. Let's go ahead and get to this video. I put this together a variety of videos and I have a story on pickuptrucktalk.com. So I'm putting together really short videos, but I'm going to pause it here and I'll highlight a couple key details. So the video I took is going to be right here and it starts playing. So we had different stations inside the truck plant. This is the engineering station. Talked about some changes they made to the chassis. And then we'll move along to other stations as we go. We have engineers each place talking about stuff. This is where they're doing some interior installments on the line. And you can see where we have a situation where I've talked about where it's just-in-time parts delivery. If you've never seen a truck plant like this, I'll pause it. You see these racks. These racks are where they're putting parts on those racks. So as the vehicle moves down, if it needs a certain type of wood for the interior, because it's a King Ranch, whatever, it gets put on this line on these racks by other employees, and all these parts are delivered just in time to keep production going at efficient speed without having excess amount of parts in the plant. And then we'll talk here about this new liftgate system. This is really interesting. If you haven't seen a new Ford Expedition, they have a clamshell kind of lower liftgate and upper liftgate. They actually built that tool you see on the screen. You see these employees put this in. That robot they actually built, this is part of like a multi-million-dollar expansion of the plant just to build that part of the vehicle for the Ford Expedition. So they pull them off the line and they put that part in with liftgate. It is quite it's quite amazing to see. And then this is a demonstration. They were using virtual reality to walk the designers through the vehicle so they can actually see around them and see where pieces of the armrest would hit other pieces of the armrest and really see things. But this is the key thing right here. This is what I want to talk about. So this engineer, what he's looking at there is a cell phone that's mounted to a tripod. Now, this is part of a system. I'll get to more details here in the story. But what's really going on here is that cell phone is taking pictures of the vehicle going through, and there's multiple cell phones that are doing this operation. And the idea here is they send the images to a computer that uses artificial intelligence to look for defects or problems. For example, it may notice that the wiring harness got somehow disconnected in the assembly process. So before they put the carpet in, they can plug in that wiring harness. That way they don't have to go to the final line assembly, tear it all apart, and plug it in. It makes them more efficient, and it makes the vehicle better quality when it leaves the line. They don't have any nagging issues from the factory that they have to solve at the dealership. And so it's an innovative process. They have multiple cameras. They're going at all times, and they're just constantly scanning that. Okay, then we did this experience. So we all loaded up in different expeditions. And I'm sorry if you're listening to this on podcast. I'll try to describe it the best we can. We drove out of the factory floor, okay? And we drove outside to an outdoor test track. This is a rattle and squeak test track, aptly named. And the idea here is they take every Ford Expedition, in this case, that was our focus, was Ford Expeditions. They take these out there that's built at factory. This is the new launch, really focusing on new launch quality. They take them out there and they drive them over this test track. The test track is designed in such a way that it is the worst possible road conditions. And it's really some bizarre kind of concrete. Like you have slabs at angles and you're trying to force the vehicle to go over kind of ideas of road chatter. There's a cobblestone section you end up on. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to see where the rattles and squeaks may be coming from the new vehicles. That way they can go back and fix those issues in the assembly process. And then once you get past this new launch process, then they don't do them as often, probably. It will be my assumption. And they're able to then make sure that they have better quality going out of the factory. Again, less repairs at dealership, better initial quality for the customer. And I got to tell you, the initial quality, the first 90 days, I've seen people in the comments make a big joke about that. But if you ever bought a new vehicle and the first 90 days, they have issues with it. It doesn't sound right. You have rattles and things. It really makes your overall opinion of the vehicle to be much lower than it can be. It's really hard when you get that negative mindset to come back. And so here we are going to the track, and you can kind of see the Expedition in front of us if you're watching this, going up and down. We're going up and down. We're going kind of sideways. I'm trying to film, and you can see you'll see me trying to hold the camera still. We're going around the sides. We're going down. We're going up, and then I was actually joking in the section where we have all these bumps and things. Like, can you imagine telling a person who's pouring concrete, like, "Hey, we want this to look terrible, all these bumps and stuff." Be like, "You want to do what? You don't want smooth concrete? No, this is not smooth at all." And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to force this vehicle to go over some pretty intense for its first 4 miles of experience to listen, to hear what they're doing. And so again, there's a team of engineers or a team of product quality people that go over this all the time, and they do this drive, and they're listening to every squeak and rattle, trying to identify anything to make sure this goes out of the factory and the best quality it can. Now let's talk about some other things that Ford's doing that I learned on this trip. And that's going to be on this story I shared on pickuptrucktalk.com. If you don't care to watch me or listen to me, you can head over there. So the Ford Kentucky truck plant sits on 500 acres. It's a massive building. It's more than 4.6 million square feet. Close to 9,000 people are employed there. They build the Ford Super Duty, Lincoln Navigator, and Ford Expedition. So while our focus was specifically on Expedition while touring the facility, we did see, like I said, the cell phone going on for the AI. Interestingly enough, the gentleman who came with the idea was Walter LaPlante. He is a Ford supervisor at stamping plant. It's called the Mobile AI Vision System, MAVIS. He was awarded the Henry Ford Technology Award for it. His father won the same award 17 years earlier for another innovation. And Walter is deaf. He's like my wife. Deaf without he's got to use hearing aids to have hearing. And so it allows them, I'm telling you, my wife sees things a different way as well. So it allows them to see the world in a different way and understand things a little bit differently. So really impressive. My friend Kristen Shaw wrote the story up on Popular Science. I put a link in the article to the story. So it's interesting. If you're into that geek kind of stuff, check it out over there. I'll put a link in the description below on this video. We talked about the test track for the rattles. Okay, I should have pictured that. So another thing I learned on this trip was having a conversation with Ford engineer Brian Metzinger. We were talking about breaking down silos, talking about the quality. I was having some questions with quality with him because Ford's had some quality issues over the years. I'll get to a little more about that as well. I was just kind of curious how his viewpoint of it was. He's been a Ford employee for many years, and talking with him, it's interesting how his role has changed the past few years. So he is currently what essentially is the Ford Explorer CEO. He was on hand help with Ford Expedition. We had after lunch, we were doing a Ford Expedition Tremor off-road drive. We're sitting around after lunch before I'm getting a transport back to the hotel, just talking about stuff. And so he pointed out that the 2025 Explorer was really aimed at improving quality in a unique way. They really reduced the number of trim levels. Consider this. There's an image on the screen of a 2025 Ford Explorer that has 4 trim levels. The 2024 model had 8. Why does that matter? Well, in a plant setting, in a manufacturing setting, you have more complexity when you have more trim levels. He pointed out when you have less trim levels, you have less complexity, and you have a better quality product going out the door. You have less trim issues, less knocking issues, more things you can get figured out before it goes to dealership. So you have a better product launch. You have a better name on the vehicle because as far as reputation, people are going, oh, that vehicle launched well, not a lot of first year issues, and they feel better about it. And so the overall quality idea of the company feels better when you have a successful vehicle launch. Vehicle launches are massive deals for automakers. I don't think consumers really understand how much point of emphasis there is in a new vehicle launch. It's a huge, huge deal. And so he pointed out that was a huge deal for them, which is what they really tried to do in 2025. And it's interesting because it's on the heels of what Ford CEO Jim Farley said fall 2024, where they're really focusing on product launches. His big regret back then was when he took over in 2020, he didn't make that a bigger thing that he was going to focus on was product launches. Now, Investigator also pointed out that in prior years, engineering, manufacturing, designers, and marketing were all working together in separate departments. This is the silo idea, and many automakers and businesses are guilty of this, where you work in silos, you don't talk to each other, right? And now that he's the CEO, he basically works with everybody. And so if the designers want to have a special kind of insert for the door, he's got to work with them, with the engineers, make sure it works. And he's got to work with manufacturing to make sure they can build it. He actually said to me before he came out to help out for that lunch that he was on the phone with the plant talking about some issues they're having with some of the Ford Explorer stuff. So he's still working on, they're still working through all those issues, make sure that when they launch all the 2026 models and 27, 28, 29, whatever is happening in the future, that they have a really good quality product when they going out the door. And it wasn't quite the case of doing that as much as you think it would be in years past. And so this is a kind of a new frontier, how things have changed with Ford, where they're working more collaboratively as multiple teams working together to make sure that they have a better overall product. Now, as I said, this is not quite there yet, right? So anybody who's followed Ford or followed automotive knows that recalls have been a big issue last couple of years. It's not just the recalls are a new thing. Recalls have been a thing for many years. It's that the volume of recalls has been substantial. Like every Monday, I get an email from the NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.gov, and there are tons of recalls every Monday. It's almost like it's desensitized because you get so many recalls every week. Now, Ford has been at the top of the recall list for the last couple of years. They've had a lot of recalls over the years. Now, some of these recalls are for some small issues that are not like reliability issues, like the engine failed or something. There's some smaller issues. However, it's the time and the expense that happens with the owners who have to drop it off multiple days at times. Maybe the dealership's far away. It's just inconvenience. It's a pain in the butt. Let's just say more clearly, it's a pain in the butt. And it costs Ford. Ford, as of 2023, they had spent $1.3 billion addressing warranty claims. So a big loss for them. And so they are working on that. But remember that recalls go back many years. And so Jim Farley took over in 2020, 2025, they made some changes to Ford Explorer. So, we're looking at 27, 28, 29, 2030 until maybe we see the fruits of those labors. So I don't think we're going to see anytime soon. And then there are lingering issues going on. We've talked about this many times on this channel. I've done a lot of reliability reports over the years. We have the harsh shifts and 10-speed transmission. They recalled 555,000 of those, I think it was last year. We have a cam phaser failure issue that impacts EcoBoost engines. It doesn't seem like it's as prevalent as today as it was back in like 2018, 2019. There's other issues, well-known issues for different vehicles and things. Power Boost has some electrical gremlins, for example, in the hybrid version. So there's been some issues here and there. They're still lingering that cause customers some concerns. And you can find more of these issues on forums, and you find a lot with used trucks. A lot of times people buy a used truck and they're posting on Facebook or a forum what issues they're going to come up with, and these issues keep coming up. So to me, these issues are in the various stages of either being ironed out or addressed completely. However, they linger because people buy used and they want to know what issues they're going to face, and like what I said. So that's what I have for you on the quality. Let's check out my friends at Warn, what they're up to, and I'll come back with some more details what happened this week on Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. And now a word from our sponsors, and I'm very pleased to be sponsored by Warren Industries. They own a variety of companies. They are an American company with a lot of American-made products. They have a deal going on right now through the end of June 30th, 2025, where they're giving cash back depending on what kind of products you buy, depending on the products and the invoiced amount. So you have up to $700 rebate for $4,500 and more of invoiced amount. Now, they have a couple different products they're looking at that want to make sure you guys are aware of that they do offer. Looking at the F250, this is the 2023-2024. They offer different leveling kits and also all the way up lift kits going up to a 6-inch lift to fit those 40-inch tires. That's a big-ass truck. I've seen those things roll around. That's a pretty cool-looking truck. So you can get that from Warren Industries, and they own FabTech. You also can get the F350 with similar lifts. You can do a little bit leveling kit as well, or 2.5-inch lift, 4-inch lift, what do you want to do, radius arms. They're also offering a Toyota Tacoma with the lift as well. A 3-inch lift, leveling kits, upper arms, accessories, and then they also offer quite a bit of new stuff over at FabTech. FabTech has been around for years. They have different shocks, different upper control arms, Dirt Logic shocks, stealth shocks, performance shocks, just a lot of stuff going on there with FabTech. They do a great job offering American-made products with the Warren promos. So big sale going on. You get a virtual Visa prepaid gift card offer on any valid product purchases made between April 1st through June 30th, 2025. There's a full list of valid SKUs, full list of valid kits. That's FabTech and Dirt Logic products. And it's really good to support American made companies and get your truck ready for the summer. Get it out there, make sure you get the lift on there, the tires you want, and make the truck your own. Again, I'm very pleased to be sponsored by such a great American company, and I love Warren Industries, their products, their winches. If you recall, we were sponsored last year with them, and I love talking about the winches. Really good, high quality winches that, well, you didn't have to worry about like snapping or line breaking or something on the trail having an issue with. So check them out over at warren.com. FabTech and Dirt Logic. Really good stuff, guys. All right, let's head back to the video. Okay, back to the video. What else happened this week? Jill just put out managing editor Jill Simonello, excuse me, just put out a story on the Jeep teasing of a 2026 Grand Cherokee. They're redoing that one. It should come out later on this year. We have the Honda CRV updates, including a Trail Sport hybrid. Yes, the Honda CRV is trying to be more off-road capable and rugged. It is. A larger screen as well. And then Toyota Corolla Cross has some changes as well. Cover that too. And then I still have some stories on here, including Siri Reports, least reliable full-size trucks, American-made index, how American is truck. Those two are big topics right now because of life and tariffs and things. We have the new 2025 truck changes. And I talked about the lead diesels several weeks ago, and it still is getting people's attention on the website. On the YouTube channel, we had some videos go live this week. I wanted to scroll down and make sure I get them as well. Okay, on the YouTube channel, we had a couple of videos go live this week as normal. I'm always publishing lots of stuff, so make sure you are checking that out over there. So we had the GMC Canyon. That's one. It was $71,000 for GMC Canyon. It's a really interesting to see that truck and to see that midsize truck. If you missed that one, I did a video back here a week ago about why people hate these trucks, and I had both that and the Ram RHO in that video. It's kind of amazing how big they both are on camera. And then we had the Ram 1500 Express went live. That was unveiled Monday morning. That's a more bare bones version of the Ram 1500, starting about $44,000 for a full size truck. I think it's a pretty decent price point. It reminds me of the Ford F-150 STX, more of an entry level kind of off-road truck. Trying to get those price points down. Ford's working on it. Chevy's working on it. Ram's working on it. I had some pushback saying $44,000 isn't affordable. I'm not sure about that one. I think that's pretty affordable in today's truck market when the average transaction price is about $55,000. So I'd say that's pretty good. Then Jill had a Genesis GB70 reveal, the refreshed version of that. That is a pretty nice SUV. If you're looking for a more luxury SUV, that is a really nice one. And then I had rented a Chevy Trax when I did the Million Mile Tundra story with Vic Shepard, where we did it again. I was pretty damn impressed with the Chevy Trax. So it's shocking that it's not that bad for cheap SUV. It is not the old school rental cars of yesteryear. That really surprised me. And then I had the Toyota Grand Highlander, the 2025 Nightshade model I had reviewed. It's still one of my favorite Toyota SUVs out there. I think it's fantastic. Unless you have a garage that's too narrow or you don't need the third row for whatever reason, I don't know why you wouldn't get the Toyota Grand Highlander. It is the best version of the Toyota SUVs I've seen in many years. And I would take that over the RAV4 all day long. I think it's perfect for most people's needs. Now, most families' needs, grandparents' needs. Yes, if you need something smaller, RAV4 is the case. But I just like it quite a bit as far as out of Toyota's SUV lineup. That's what we have for this week on this truck news recap. Make sure you check us out next week every Friday for this show. That's how that works. Yeah. Check out the website at pickuptrucktalk.com. Also the forum.pickuptrucktalk.com. Good conversations going there all the time. And the video's up over here. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.